Making a new life in a new land, whether in Africa or the United States. Two stories of refugees. Hello, I'm Dimyake Mwakalielye.
And I'm Vincent McCory. Also ahead, a symbol of hope amidst the devastation of AIDS in Africa. All this and more on today's In Focus. So, good morning, Demir. It looks like we have a wonderful show today, don't we?
We really have a wonderful show. How are you today?
I'm okay. I'm feeling much better than yesterday.
Good.
Yes.
Good to hear that.
Good.
Now on to the news. Former South African President Thabo Mbeki arrived in Zimbabwe Monday in an attempt to save a power-sharing deal between the country's main parties. The deal was jeopardized on Saturday when President Robert Mugabe assigned control of key ministries, including defense, Home Affairs and Foreign Affairs, to his own ZANU-PF party. Mr. Mugabe on Monday unilaterally swore in two vice presidents who served under the previous government. That move has further alienated the opposition. ZANU-PF says Mr. Mbeki needs to oversee talks on just one undecided ministry, but the opposition, Movement for Democratic Change, says there is no agreement on the ministries and it has threatened to withdraw from September's power-sharing deal. Mr. Mbeki helped broker the deal meant to end the crisis after Zimbabwe's disputed presidential elections. Vincent, this seems so reminiscent of what happened in Kenya, where you're from. How do you think it's going to play out?
Well, it's going to be tough. Finally may reach a deal, but you see, this is inherent of those kind of deals. As it was seen in Kenya, they signed the deal in kind of a hurried fashion without completing the details. And of course, whoever is holding the bigger chunk of the meat will want to hold on to it. And that is what Mugabe and his party ZANU-PF is going to do until, of course, hopefully Mr. Mbeki manages to bring these guys together.
I really hope Mr. Mbeki will be able to do that, because
well,
I think it's time to move on.
Well, across the continent, the leader of the recent coup in Mauritania is calling for a national gathering to decide the future of the country. General Mohamed Ould Abdel Aziz says such a gathering could help restore constitutional order following the military coup in August that ousted President Sidi al-Sheikh Abdallah. Meanwhile, Mauritanian refugees are returning home from camps in Senegal, where they have lived for nearly 2 decades. VOA's Nico Columbant has more.
At the Chabak camp in Senegal, Mauritanian refugees dusted up the little belongings they had and prepared their last cup of tea before boarding trucks run by the United Nations. The first contingent to leave consisted mainly of young women and children who had never been to Mauritania. Musa Al-Younso, a father of 5, also decided to bring a few goats, although not always very gently. He said his goodbyes to refugees who decided to stay for now, preferring to wait and see how the process would go. Even though So has spent nearly 2 decades in Mauritania, the trip back home took just several hours and was free. Compliments of the UN. So is overcome with emotion. He does not know what awaits him on the other side, or if this is a good decision. After a short truck route, it was just a brief ferry ride to get back to the country he fled amid inter-ethnic violence. For now, So and other refugees get a hero's welcome. For a few minutes, they are treated like celebrities. They are then reminded what it is like to be a citizen of a country with paperwork, ID checks, and fingerprints. The UN and Mauritania's government have promised to give these former refugees help in the first few months. Then they will be on their own. Nico Columbant, VOA News, Dakar.